and gentlemen of the jury, Alon Zabala was an immigrant trying to realize the American dream when his aspirations were cut short by Luz Bennett. For 3 years in a row at the trailing of the Sheep Festival, hundreds of Mr. Zabala's sheep contracted blue tongue and ultimately died, costing him the loss of reputation and thousands of dollars. What happened to Mr. Zabala's sheep was a tragedy, but it was no coincidence. This was not some natural phenomenon or freak accident, no. This was poison. As my co-counsel told you in her opening statement, we had to prove two things today. First, we had to prove that Alon Zabala's sheep were in fact poisoned, and second, that it was Luz Bennett who orchestrated that poisoning. So let's look at that first element. What evidence is there to suggest that Mr. Zabala's sheep did not fall ill naturally? We know that prior to 2013, blue tongue had never been seen before in Idaho, and for 3 years in a row, Mr. Zabala and only Mr. Zabala's sheep contracted blue tongue. We know that the natural mortality rate of blue tongue among sheep is 80%, but that for every single year, 100% of Mr. Zabala's infected sheep died. That is not natural. We know that near the area where Mr. Zabala kept his sheep at the festival, a crushed vial labeled blue tongue was found. And finally, we know that none of the gnats at the festival or Alon Zabala's summer grazing area were infected with blue tongue, meaning that his sheep must have gotten sick some other way. This, ladies and gentlemen, was intentional infection. So now we know that someone or something purposely introduced blue tongue into Mr. Zabala's flock. But who has the means, motive, and opportunity to do something like that? The answer is Luz Bennett. In the area where this crushed vial was found, labeled blue tongue vaccine type 10, which is the same type of vaccine that Luz Bennett had at her ranch, which contains the live blue tongue virus, horseshoes from the Flying Bee Ranch were also found, which is the ranch that Luz Bennett owns. As well as that, when Sam Dacey, an objective investigator in today's case, attempted to interview Luz Bennett, she refused, saying that Zabala never learns. When Ms. Dacey obtained a warrant to search Ms. Bennett's property, she realized what she was hiding. Sam Dacey found this internet search history on Luz Bennett's personal computer. Luz Bennett had searched the key words, blue tongue, then blue tongue transmission water, and then blue tongue transmission water trough. Furthermore, Dr. Murphy, who testified for the defense today, is a close friend and former employee of Luz Bennett. This is the same Dr. Murphy who Luz Bennett does not remember paying for her vet school, even though she did. The same Dr. Murphy who took care of Alon Zabala's sheep when they had a 100% mortality rate. The same Dr. Murphy who was seen sitting at a bar with Luz Bennett when Luz told her, keep doing what you're doing, you work for me. And the same Dr. Murphy who scrubbed Alon Zabala's water trough with bleach, which is used to kill viruses. Finally, Gabby Echeverria, an employee of Luz Bennett, was seen pouring some substance into Alon Zabala's water trough at the trailing of the Sheep Festival. Opposing counsel argued that it is not possible for Alon Zabala's sheep to have gotten sick this way, as blue tongue cannot be transmitted through standing water, but that simply is not true. Sam Dacey offered 2 reliable articles to show that it is possible for blue tongue to be transmitted in this way, and Dr. Sandy Murphy did not offer a single piece of evidence to support her theory. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we as the plaintiff hold the burden of proof in today's case, and that means that we had to prove by preponderance of the evidence that Luz Bennett is liable. When you go back into the jury room to deliberate, you will receive a special verdict form which will ask you a series of questions you must answer when determining liability. It is going to ask you, as in 2013, 14, and 15 separately, if Luz Bennett intentionally introduced the blue tongue virus into Alon Zabala's flock, if she did so with the intent to harm Mr. Zabala's flock, and if this intentional introduction did in fact harm Mr. Zabala's sheep. Please answer yes to all of those questions regarding all 3 years. Mr. Zabala was just an American immigrant who was trying to get by when Luz Bennett stepped in his way and killed hundreds of his sheep. Do not let Luz Bennett get away with sabotaging Alon Zabala or Alon Zabala's livelihood. Thank you.